So Catherine is from Aotearoa. Can you say how to pronounce it, please?
Aotearoa.
Aotearoa. From Aotearoa. Welcome as always in Old Fort, in Baltimore, in Vancouver, Washington, in South Spring, Burlington, Vermont, originally from Maine, the UK, England, Brevard, North Carolina, and originally from the South. Yael from Alaska and originally from Israel. So I'm also going to speak mine because I haven't prepared it in writing. So I was born in Romania, lived in the UK, and now I'm sitting in Northern California. And hello again from the UK, originally from Zimbabwe. It's nice to see how far we spread. Albuquerque, New Mexico, Old Fort, North Carolina, from York, Pennsylvania, originally. So we'll take a couple more minutes if anyone that hasn't written where they're from wants to say hello to everyone. Auntie Saber, you are in Hawaii, are you? I
think we lost her.
Tell me again.
Oh, here she is.
Are speaking from Hawaii in this moment, correct?
Oh, Catherine, it looks so cold in Aotearoa. It's so warm here. It's our summer and your winter, yes?
Yeah. We are mirror images of each other. So welcome and well met, everyone. Last minute to say where you are from: Oregon, Massachusetts, California, Alaska, and now California again. Long journey. It's nice to trace where we all are migrating on the globe and where we're sitting in this moment. Santa Cruz, California, that's pretty much neighboring to me, not very far. All right, I think most everyone has anchored themselves. So Yael, I'm going to return the circle to you.
Thank you, Diana, and thank you everyone for joining us and helping us to co-create this hopefully safe, brave space. In order to do that, and so that our speakers could really completely surrender to what wants to come through them, we are asking to have all of you help us hold this energy. I am married to an Alaska Native Unangan messenger of his people, and in their way of seeing things and looking at these times, we are in a great masculine imbalance for the past thousands of years. They say there's a pendulum that was going from feminine imbalance to masculine imbalance, which we still are at, and we have a chance to stop that pendulum in the middle and find that balance, and for that we need everyone. But because we are in such masculine imbalance, we need to restore and heal the feminine, and for that we need women, because we all come from the feminine space. Even if we are a different gender, we still were in our mother's womb, of feminine space. So what we do in these circles, our speakers or sometimes we have a bigger circle, but we always start with the women, creating the initial core ripple. And for our elders here in Alaska say that when women get together in true sisterhood and connect to their womb inside them and the wombs around them, the human and non-human, and our Mother Earth, and the womb at the center of the universe is the divine entity in the Unangan language, Unangan culture. Unangans are Aleuts, as the Westerns call them, but their original name is Unangan in their language. And so when women connect to the wombs around them and in them, great healing can begin and new things can begin to exist inside us and then beyond in the world. So for something truly new to be birthed, we need women to do that together. And so our speakers will be doing the speaking, but we are asking all of us to listen, even the speakers, even when you speak, you're actually listening. And so to have that kind of listening in a good way, we were handed guidelines for, it was originally for talking circles that are also confidential. This, of course, isn't because it is recorded and live streamed, but we still are asking to maintain the rest of the guidelines as they were gathered from different cultures that our elder here in Alaska, Rita Blumenstein, found that they have the maybe different forms, but the same essence. And so she put it down as guidelines, and everyone knows it. Because just like if you come to a dinner, even if you know the host and you know what the forks are, and my internet is very challenging today, so when it's unstable, I'll just go off video in the hopes that you can hear. So even if everyone knows where the forks are, the host still sets the table. And so this is our way of setting the table to read the guidelines. This is a talking circle, which means the circle does the talking. We are doing the listening. We listen with respect to self, to yourself, to other selves, to time and attention. This is like a potluck of offerings. So even if you don't like something, it's not for your palate or for your plate, maybe it is suitable for others. So be respectful, even if something doesn't nourish you, it might nourish someone else. Listen with innocence. Please listen with the innocence of a child, like a child hearing something for the first time. Try to think of the first time you heard about pyramids, or about unicorns, or about platypuses, and you weren't busy with if it's true or not. You were just taking in the story. Be clear of agendas, of titles and flags. Try and listen without imagining what you would say, without counseling or marketing or lecturing or advising or arguing or planning any way that you would respond. Allow yourself to be in the moment and feel that which emerges in you. But before that, just take in whatever is being said and see if you want to consume it or not. This is your choice. But you don't, just like in a potluck, you don't push away the pasta to then present your salad. You can leave both on the table and just take to yourself whatever nourishes you. There is no cross-talking, and you do not have to speak, because even if you do not speak, you will be heard. When we speak, we only speak our truth from our own lived experience, not something that we are taught or borrowed or speculate, but what we know to be true. And the knowing in Hebrew, yedi'ah, is something physical. Adam knew Eve, and then she became pregnant. And so the knowing goes all the way to the physical, to ourselves. And we are asking to speak and listen from that place. Ripen. We speak when the words in the moment are ripe. So if something is, if one of our speakers feel it's not time for them to speak, please just let us know. And any changes, if anyone wants to suggest some changes, now is the time. I'm going to give it about a minute. And please unmute yourself and suggest your change, or you can put it in the chat box. Okay, thank you. And with that, we can begin the circle. And Kumu Sebra, if it's okay, we'd like you to do the opening blessing or song or prayer, whatever comes to you.
Here we go. Thank you. I'm technically challenged by much of this. Aloha to each and every one of you from the island of Kauai. We're the northernmost inhabited island of the Hawaiian Islands. It's a beautiful day here, and now that I've unmuted myself, you can probably hear the wild chickens. They're so loud. They escaped years ago. They escaped. At any rate, I welcome you with this chant that speaks of the sun that rises in the east. And as it rises, it warms the atmosphere. And with that warmth comes the memory of our kupuna, our elders, who have placed us on this path. Ea e kalama kahikina, kahiki mai aloha kupuna he. Ukahali ai kali awai kini, waiale hale molale e, eia e na puale mokihana, kamawai lualani ua vehi e, he vehi ke ia aloha e, aloha kuone hana ue. Aloha no, aloha e, mano kalani po, aloha e, aloha no, aloha e, mano kalani po, aloha e. So this chant talks about our tallest mountain, which is Waialeale. Waialeale means the rippling waters. And the peak on the top of that mountain is Kawaikini. Kawaikini meaning the multitudinous waters. So as this island is blessed to have these mountains, because that is what captures the rain, the wind, the clouds that nourish our island. And this year we have an abundance of rain. Last year, the last 2 years, we were very much in drought. So it changed our gardens, it changed the flow of the water through the island. And we're very cognizant of the fact that our blessings come from heaven. Aloha to each and every one of you. I look forward to hearing your mana'o, your thoughts, and ask Keokua's blessing on you. Aloha.
Mahalo, Kumu Sebra, thank you so much. And to connect us to our wombs, in us and around us, because even if some of us don't have a womb that they are carrying, we were all carried in a womb. So we are asking to connect to that or reconnect to that. And one of the ladies that does it the most beautiful way that I know is Diana. So Diana, can you take us there, please?
Thank you, Toda. I will start as always with rekindling the light, the flame outside that reflects the flame within us. and inviting us to close our eyes and connect with our breath and to place our palms on our hearts. And if you have a womb in your body, etheric or flesh and blood, etheric if it was surgically removed, you still have one. Then move one of your palms to gently cup your womb. And let's breathe together for a moment. And I'd like to invite us to connect to the womb of all wombs, to our grandmother ocean, the womb of life, where life on this earth sprang. The depth of the ocean, the movement of the ocean, the wisdom of the ocean, the ancient nature of water as the womb of life on our Mother Earth, our grandmother ocean. The earth is a container of the oceans. So as our bodies are a container of the womb, and the womb contains a miniature ocean when it conceives life. And these waters of life, the oceans of the earth, of our bodies, they are patient. Our grandmother's ocean waited for eons patiently for life to spark, to come into being, to evolve. Our mother waited patiently for 9 months for us to ripen within her womb. The waters and the womb teach us, among other things, deep patience. Let's breathe into this patience possibility within us. And allow yourself to think of something that is in your life that you might be impatient about. And bring to bear the deep patience of the oceans, of the womb, of your mother, of all mothers. Meet that impatience with water. The water is so patient, it takes it millennia to chisel a rock into a smooth pebble without hurry. Inviting us to learn from the oceans, from the water, the patience of earth that knows that every seed will ripen in its exact correct moment, in its own good time. And so is everything that we are impatient about. It has a seed time. And our wombs teach us patience and trust in that perfect divine timing for the seeds of everything. Breathing into our hearts, into our wombs, if we have one, into the womb of the earth, into the connection and interconnectedness of all waters on earth. And returning back into this moment with our eyes closed, back into our body that seemingly is separate, yet connected to each other and to all life. Reminding ourselves our environment and where we're sitting with your eyes closed, envisioning your surrounding, remembering the circle we are all part of, the flame of the candle outside and within us. Letting ourselves wiggle our toes, our fingers, become more present in our body. Allowing our hands and arms to move to where they want to be. And when we're fully here in our consciousness, in our body, in this moment, allowing our eyes to gently open. And welcome back.
Diana, thank you. Listening to Diana and connecting with the womb, I was reminded of the patience that it took to be pregnant. And throughout the pregnancy, I remember myself telling my eldest dad, I was telling him, I can't wait to meet her. I can't wait to hug her. But he said, but you're feeling her all the time. I said, yes, but I want to meet her. And I couldn't wait. And pregnancy teaches us this kind of patience where you can't rush it. And speaking of the water and the patience and the womb, it reminded me of the first thing that happened when we conceive is we start to gather water in us that weren't there. I'm saying weren't because in Hebrew, mayim, water, is plural. So this is the way I speak, and I'm sorry about that. Maybe mistake, maybe not. Maybe Diana will talk to us about that later. But these waters that weren't in us begin to accumulate in us in order to enable the new existence. And before each one of you came into the world, you were announced by water. It's the first thing that comes into the world before us. From our mother into the world is the water. So thank you, Diana, for reminding me of that patience that I already know, but I so often forget. And with that, I would like to invite Auntie Sabra, Kumu Sabra. Kumu Sabra, you wrote to me when I told you about the circle and the intention. You wrote to me a chant, an ancient chant that you have in your language. If you want to speak about that or whatever comes to you, I would love to hear more about it. And I can put it in the chat box if it helps you.
Yes, do that, please. But I think it goes, Eya kavaila, hevai eola no ea. Here's the water of life, without which we have no life. We are totally dependent on the existence of water for life. And those of you who live in places where it is, your water source is unsecure, I send much aloha to you because of the concern and the care that it must take to live in areas like that. We say here in Hawaii that if you have water, you have wealth. Our notion of wealth, however, is not how much you can accumulate, but how much you can give away. And we don't necessarily mean in terms of money. We mean in terms of food. How many people can you feed from your garden? How much taro can you share? How much fish can you share? I was so blessed to be at a wedding reception last night that had so many traditional foods. We had poi, which is a staple for us of Kalo, and we had fish, and we did have some pig because we raise pigs, and our pigs they're wild on the island. They're just rooting up everything, all the sweet potatoes that I have growing at my school. The piggies this year have just dug up, so we have to replant. But we also had a wonderful shellfish called opihi last night, and I had not seen so many in years. There was a whole tray full, a big tray full of the shells, and you eat the little limpet that's inside of it. But I asked everyone to please save the shell. And then they asked me, why? What are you going to do with the shell? And I said, I cannot take knives to school, but I can take a seashell to school. And when I work on projects like making kapa or bark cloth, my students harvest the plant, and then they have to scrape the outer bark off of the stick. And they use the opihi shell to scrape the bark off the stick. And then they pound it into fabric. So the notion of of water being so important to us, the notion of it really in our culture, it's a measure of wealth, and the measure of wealth is how many people you can feed. All right. Any questions?
Do you have the shell with you maybe to show us?
I can get one. Let me move. It's in the back of my car. Let me go and get it.
Okay, I'm going to spotlight you so you won't see the others, but we're with you, okay?
Okay.
And while you're doing that, I will just say what came up for me when you were speaking about how it's not about accumulating, but about letting it flow through you. So in Israel, in the Holy Land, we have, the Jordan River, and it goes from the north to the south. And we have the Sea of Galilee, that is sweet water, and the Jordan River comes into it and out of it. And then at the end, we have the Dead Sea, as you call it, the Sea of Salt, as we call it, Yam HaMelach. And there, the water just goes in and it doesn't come out, and nothing can live in that place. So we get most of our living water, most of our sweet water from the Kinneret, from the Sea of Galilee. But in order for that to happen, we have to let the water come in and come out. And so it reminded me of Kumu Sebra's talk now about wealth and about abundance, and how if we accumulate, we may seem to have more, but it's not life reassuring and not life encouraging way of being if we learn from water. So thank you, Kumu Sebra, for bringing all of that, and tell us when you have the shell to show us. And everyone who just joined us, if you want to put in the chat box where you're joining from, where you are now, and where you're from originally on Mother Earth. Kumu Sebra, I'm going to have maybe Kath.
I have the shell.
You have the shell, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to turn the camera around, and so you can see the shell.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know. That's kind of blurry. Okay, I'm going to undo the blur. None? Oh, God. All right, here.
Okay.
Okay, so you see this? That's the shell. This is the front. This is it. We have eaten the muscle in it. And this one is already clean, but I'll clean it some more. And then the limu, this seaweed grows on top of it. It's also edible, but that's the inside. I'm
Thank
sure you
you.
have seashells wherever you are. Well, if you live by the ocean.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep. Different
You
kind
have-
of shells. I don't know if they're as powerful as knives like yours is.
Yeah, because the edge is nice, is sharp.
Yeah. Thank you for teaching us,
You're
Kumu
welcome.
Sabra. Oh, and now I'm reminded that Kumu in Hawaiian is teacher, isn't it?
That's true.
So you see, she is that wherever she goes. Thank you, and thank you to the shells for coming into the circle. And thank you to the next generation on Stevie's screen that is coming also to affirm us, because we are doing this work not only for those who are here, but also beyond. Thank you. Catherine, can I ask you to share whatever comes through you?
Kia ora, Yael, and to Diana for that beautiful opening practice that sets us for active listening. And speaking of active listening, just before I begin sharing my thoughts from my Māori people's perspective, I'd just like to invite people who are here listening to notice any words or concepts that are repeated, because already I've heard several. To me, that's perhaps one way the universe invites us to pay attention when things keep, popping up again and again. You're like, oh, yeah, I should notice that maybe. So yeah, back to today's theme, I was reflecting on how it seems these days that there is an increasing number of things that are very difficult to meet in this world, which is just another way of saying these are things we resist. And I mean difficult to meet in terms of there's more of a number of them, but it's also their intensity seems to be ratcheted up. I mean, we could probably think of some things that are triggering for us that we resist. I'm thinking of an obvious one is climate crisis. I deal with mitigation, adaptation, action around climate crisis. It's an existential threat, we are told by experts. There's also, the lies we've been fed about proxy wars and conflicts around the planet. That's hard to take. And the revelations emerging about COVID-19, its laboratory origins and the big pharma lies about safety and things like this, information is coming out. That's hard for people to believe. There's a lot of cognitive dissonance around that. And even now, expert whistleblower testimony about what the government and deep state agencies and the military industrial complex knows about UFOs. Hello, people are going to be confronted by just the idea there are other intelligent life forms in the universe, let alone ones that may have visited us or have been here for a while, existing at the same place and time as humanity has. So there's a lot going on. So just going back to this idea, what does it mean to meet something? Okay, that's the question put to us. Meeting the unmeetable. What can we learn? What can the wisdom of water tell us? In my Māori language, one word, a common word for meeting is tūtaki. Tūtaki. And if you break that down, you find it's made up of other words. Tū, for example, and taki. Yeah? The word to means to stand or stop. Stop where you are. Just stand and stop. And if you put to next to itself, here's this thing about the Māori language again. You put a word next to itself and it repeats. It doesn't just double the thing. It's a transcendent idea. So the word tutu, to beside itself, tutu, has different meanings depending on the context, but one of them is to stand out, to be prominent, like very noticeable or obvious, even to the point of disruption. We have a phrase, tu te puehu, or sometimes it's tutu te puehu, which means puehu is dust. So it's like you're kicking up the dust, you're making it fly. And that's a metaphor. It's a metaphor for, you're a stirrer. Or maybe in the way you speak or your mannerisms, they're quite provocative or passionate. Okay. Bearing in mind all these things, I'll bring them back full circle to the meaning of meet and what we can learn from that. It's also interesting, when we're talking about, in one context being disruptive, the second part of the word tutaki, the word to meet, is taki. Taki means, in one context, taki means to challenge something. You lay down a challenge. Okay? And the core idea there is you're testing something. Maybe an idea. You're testing the legitimacy of an idea, the validity of an idea, the truth. You're testing the truth, maybe. Or you could be testing another person, or a situation, whatever it is, but you're challenging it. You're testing something. Okay? And another meaning for the word taki in a different context when it's used in the Māori language means to move or proceed together. Like takirua is like two people moving together in a pair, or takimano in the thousands or the multitudes. And Sabra spoke of the multitudinous waters, from her culture, that would be takimano, the multitudes. So in terms of meeting something, all this meaning in that one little word, I like to think in the context of meeting another person, this references, all the multitudes of connections between me and the thing I'm meeting. Like if it's a person or a situation, it doesn't matter. There's something we share. There's a sharing going on here when we meet something. Okay? Everything's connected. Now you're going into fractal universe theory again, which I love talking about fractal universe theory. I am the water and the water is me, if we're talking about water. Yeah. I am you and you are me. Fractal universe theory. And when you hold this belief, you can it's like zooming out to a God's eye view of things. You see the bigger picture. You can see across time and space. That's the real big picture. Transcendent. And you can have, when you have a God's eye view, you can have empathy for people that you meet that may be challenging, hard to meet, because you drop your judgment somewhat. And you can have a different perspective of challenging situations because things are complicated and complex. You got to be a bit more compromising maybe in your judgment of things, more understanding. And taki in the sense of multitudes, I like to also think when I'm meeting difficult situations or people, it brings to mind the collective wisdom of your tupuna, your ancestors, including the supernatural ones, our atua, our supernatural ancestors. We always have access to their wisdom. We can always bring that to the table. I like the metaphor of a table that Yael uses. It's awesome. So back to this idea of the unmeetable. Okay, coming up against it, exposed to a challenge, that's what's embedded in one word. But, another thing that Māori are often thinking about when we meet another person, what's the first thing we do? What's a normal thing to do is you greet them. You say hello. You acknowledge them. You say kia ora. You know, that's a common informal greeting, but it's very powerful, this greeting. Kia ora, you know, it sounds like aloha. Kia ora. And what kia ora means is ora is well-being. So you're literally welcoming somebody by saying, may you be well. May we be well, because we're connected. May the situation be well. And of course, ora, when you break it down, ra means light, and light is enlightenment. Okay, so I'll just finish off now because that was like 9 minutes. And circling back to water. So I've spoken about taki means in a group, the multitudinous nature, you know, of rivers and waterways and such is important. Water is life. Our word for spirit, our eternal, real, true self is wairua. Wai means water, rua means duality. So it's the two waters. You know, there's hard reality and there's metaphysical reality, physical and metaphysical reality, and they operate together, they're entangled. And there's so much wisdom in water, like what the word wai has wa, and it means wa means time for Māori people, and it also means space. So it's time and space. So there's all this stuff in here. A good thing to do when you're up against a difficult situation is to meditate on it, is to reflect on what's going on. You've got to go deep. So there's a lot there. I'll pause it. Thank you very much for allowing us to take part in this conversation. It's a big one. It's a very big one, especially now. Kia ora.
Thank you so much, Catherine. It's always amazing to me the aroha and aloha, and now the wai and the vai, that the Hawaiian language and the Maori language have. It's such an amazing connection. I kind of envy it. As you were talking at the beginning, you were talking about how we don't like that there's a different intelligence that could be as big as ours. And you were talking about outside of Earth, but also on Earth. It's often like, she's smarter than me. But then our elders tell us, if you're in a circle and you're the smartest person in the circle, you're in the wrong circle. So I'm so happy to be in the right circle where there are wise people. And the other thing that came to me as you were talking about the drop the judgment is how water teaches us humility. It doesn't say, oh, I don't do sewer. Oh, I don't know, ice. It goes everywhere, right? A zebra can be peeing in Africa, and then it goes up to a cloud that then ends up in Antarctica and becomes snow, and then melts into the ocean and goes to California, and then one bathes in it and they take it and shake of their hair, and then it goes up again and ends up in, and then maybe they pee it again, or maybe they sweat, and so if we meet like water, we meet without judgment and with humility, and may it be so. And as we were dreaming up this circle and trying to refine, I always do that with Diana, and I was like, I don't know, some say water, some say obstacles, I don't know what's going on. And little by little, she helped me see the connection between the things, and I told her, yeah, I so many challenges are coming, and it's like, why is this happening? Every one of us, I think, is going through some major things. Everyone I know is going through some very personal, but if you look at, as Catherine saying, from the from above, you see that everyone is dealing with a lot. And I'm like, what's going on? And one day I just asked, I don't know, spirit, or I just asked in my heart, what is going on? And I was told, this is an initiation. And you have signed up for this. You said yes. And it's not going to go away and just become easier and better. It's going to get better, but it's not going to be easier. You're in this course that you have agreed to take on, and you've already said yes, and it's going to be an initiation, and then you get to breathe a little bit, bathe in the water, and then again, and then again. So stop waiting for it to just go back to what it used to, because it won't, because we are evolving. And it was really a really shift, because there were a series of challenging happening, and I was like, why is this happening to me? I was in a victim mode. And once I asked, why is this happening, without judgment, with curiosity, the answer was, because this is an initiation. Take it on. And so I started taking things on and be a bit of a stir, tutaki, as we've just learned. And it turned out so much better than I'd expected. And so I realized this is something I need to say to benefit maybe others that are kind of feeling the same things in different variations. So with that, I will let Diana talk about whatever comes through her, to us.
Yael, thank you. Yes, I was so touched to the core when you spoke of your receiving that what we are all going through is initiation. And one thing I'm going to change, I like to talk to everyone, not to myself, so I'm going to move it to gallery again, sorry. One thing that when we think of initiation is that we can't meet initiation with resistance. And the waters are teaching us that they are the path of least resistance. If you think of the waters that are coming from the top of the snowy mountains, there are so many obstacles in their way. And again, I'm saying there because in Hebrew it's plural. I'll talk about that in a minute. But the waters are feeling and meeting so many obstacles in their way, and they find the path of least resistance. They wrap around boulders and around trees and up obstacles and down obstacles. And their teaching is that they will get to the ocean no matter what. The ocean, the womb of creation, the womb of Mother Earth. They will get from the tops of the snowy mountains to the ocean no matter what. No matter what obstacle is in their way, the water will get to the ocean. And it does that by not meeting any obstacle head on, but by finding the path of least resistance. And in that, I find such a comfort teaching in that. And as Yael said, in Hebrew, mayim, water, is plural. And I'm thinking about it that in English as well, you have to put an S there to make waters in plural, but you can't have a water. You can't put an A. There isn't a water. Water is a multitude, and here is the word that kept coming through Auntie Sabra and through Catherine, and this morning when I was walking on the field here, the word multitude came, because water is multitude. It's not a. It's a community. Water is a community, and one thing that I remember blew my mind was realizing one time that all the waters of the world are connected. Yes, some of the oceans are landlocked, but there is underground waters, and through the underground spaces, the waters of the world are connected. The waters of the world are one. So how do we meet a challenge with that notion of the path of least resistance and with the notion of oneness? So one thing that I was working with recently, because there isn't some, from my challenges recently are not emotional, but physical. And moving from that victim place of the shoulder that hurts and realizing that the shoulder is not separate, that like the waters are multitude, so is this body is a community. it's a community of cells that are working one for all and all for one. So if the shoulder feels separate and hurting and wanting treatment by herself, then we are not part of the multitude. But if I'm starting to think of all the cells of the body as a community and talk to us as one, and realize that we are all here supporting the shoulder, we are all here supporting the healing of us, not of the shoulder, because she is not separate. And she's a she in Hebrew because everything is gendered. So she's not separate. She's part of the whole. And the whole can work on healing the whole as long as we're not separating. And in that mirroring image, in the same way that every cell in my body is part of my one community of self, we each as humans are part of the community of humanity. We're also one body. And when we're thinking of that, not how am I going to win over those individuals over there that are separate and are doing things that are to me unthinkable or atrocities. How can we, as a community of human cells, as a multitude of water, how can we heal that together? Rather than separate and say, that one I don't want. Like Yael is talking about the buffet or the potluck. This I don't want. No, how can I include them all? How can I meet them all from a place of the healing is a fabric that we share together, that we are here again, one for all and all for one. And in that, I'm reminded of another quality of the word water, mayim in Hebrew, is that it's spelled the same. You can read it the same spelled backward or forward. It's three-letter mem, yud, mem. Mayim, you can read it forward, or you can read it backwards. So the fluidity there are very few words that you can read the same word backwards and forward, and the sound and the word doesn't change. So whichever way you look at us as a community, spelled forward or spelled backward, we are spelling the same fluidity. We're spelling the same thing. And we're moving as one if we don't resist. So the lesson of the path of least resistance is for me to ask, where am I resisting this? Where am I resisting this challenge? Where am I resisting this pain? Where am I resisting this thing that comes to meet me? And how can I include it? Because it's also part of the oneness of the community that I'm meeting. So inclusion rather than resistance. And that's what I'm learning from water every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. And it's interesting that you speak of the path of least resistance, and I'm thinking of the softness, but then I'm reminded of what Kumu Sebra shared with us about the shell that is so sharp that it cuts through water. May not be sharp, hard themselves, but they can give that quality to something else, which is often, I think, a part of, if we think as a community, maybe I don't know, how to think, but maybe I can set the stage for someone to sing, or maybe I can invite people to listen to someone singing. And so that's also somehow this circle reminded me of the possibility of learning that from the water. You don't have to have a certain quality in order to give it or to enable it. And since our circle is quite small today, and Kumu Sebra was inviting questions, I would like to do that and maybe give a few minutes. I want to put in the chat box some questions. We'll see how many we have. Maybe we can ask to unmute and ask the question. Let's give 2 minutes for questions and see where we're at. I see Veronica, you're raising your hand. Would you like to share verbally? I
Yes.
see you also shared beautifully in the chat box.
Yes, how you going? Calling from South Australia.
Can we
And
see you? Can you start your video?
yeah, I'm not quite sure. Oh, here you go. Can you see me now?
I
I'm
can.
on a phone. I'm on a phone, so it's a bit hard to
Okay.
work out.
So we're listening, Veronica, we're with you.
Okay. Well, I'm a truth seeker, so I see, or well, I hear and I feel through my heart that what is happening today is fear of the new world. Our new world is of peace and harmony and love. And it's not what the governments of the world want us to believe. So it's all to do with the flow of water through our hearts, connecting with other wise women and men around and like-minded minds. It's connecting world with the truth. And there's a lot of untruths around at the moment to make people fearful. So also I have to say that I don't believe in climate change, because Mother Earth has told me that it will be all right. Mother Earth's okay. She's been doing this for centuries. It's just our human bodies have not taken it, have not lived it before. So my question to the group is, do you feel through your heart that you've been lied to with what's happening? And I'm very much environmentalist. I do as much as I can to make people aware about what they're doing to our environment. Though the Mother Earth, nature and ocean wants us to step up and be truthful to our existence and mankind. So you get the, it's I've been wanting to ask that question a lot of times. The people around me don't see, they don't hear or see who I am. And my energy is a bit probably too strong for them. So I live in isolation, and my best friends are trees and the plants around me. So it's just got a lot of time to actually bring in the messages that no one wants to ask of how to go about doing things. And also, I love to promote The Time of the Sixth Sun. It's a movie, and also some wise people, and it's from around the world. And there's truth in it, and it's taken 16 years to actually put it all together. But in there's so many different truths of actually what is happening today. It came out in 2019, just before we got locked down. And whenever I get a bit boggled and fearful, which I'm human and all people are fearful sometimes, I sit down and I listen to The Time of the Sixth Sun, or I watch the movie. And it brings me back to the reality of, yes, we are meant to be here. Our ancestors have are guiding us through this time, though we can win it. We just have to be through our hearts with love.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for listening.
Micah, you said in the beginning of this film that also Kumu Sabra, we had the fortune of having her with us there. At the beginning of the film, they talk about how Mother Earth is gonna live for billions of years. She's done it before, she's gonna survive. The question is whether we as humans will be able to do that. And also their answer is to go back to the ancient wisdom and to our hearts. Kumu Sabra, maybe you want to talk about this a little bit?
Thank you for helping me through the technical challenges of this. Oh, it's just fascinating, this discussion, and it's very deep, and it affects each and every one of us, no matter where we live in the world. We are cognizant of what's happening in nature around us and the effect that we have on it. I would like to believe that we may be more careful. I would like to believe that we will not waste our resources so that our generations to come may thrive. Victoria, remind me where you are living. Or Yale, maybe you can tell me. Where is
in Australia? She was speaking from Australia.
Yes, Australia. Are you in the
South Australia? I'm in Eyre Peninsula, which is next to the Great Dividing, I'm halfway. Well, I'm in the middle of the peninsula. The west coast is the Great Australian Bight, where they tried to do some oil drilling a few years ago,
right?
And the world actually stopped it, so that was good. And so yeah, so I'm in the middle of the Eyre Peninsula, which is quite amazing because I love the sea, though I love the inland. So I followed. Mother Earth has put me here. At first I didn't understand why, but now I understand because I'm the guardian of this area. She's nominated my husband and I to be here where we are. So I've accepted that challenge now, and it's really good.
Wonderful, wonderful. We were meant to travel to Australia a couple of years ago for a World Indigenous Peoples Conference on education, but the place, I can't remember the place, it was someplace in the south, but there were some huge fires affecting the community. And so they had to, wildfires, and so they had to cancel the conference. And I haven't kept up with it if it was being rescheduled or what. But because where you live, you're very much in touch with the natural world around you and the effect that drought has on you. And so I thank you for being so active in the protection of your resources that affect your entire community.
Oh yeah, so I'm in the farm belt, so I'm in a grain growing area. We have 17 acres amongst the 2,000 plus acres of the neighbourhood, and the only thing is we're chemical free as much as we can, and they love they like spraying weed kill and chemicals to grow the crops. It's amazing what people don't know how to grow crops of wheat and barley and things in the area. They don't seem to care. though
Oh.
I've got a buffer zone, and being an asthmatic, it's not very good
Oh dear.
because also the a lot of chemtrails are in our skies and chemical clouds and things like that. So every time I go outside, I seem to get my asthma plays up. It tells me not to go outside, which I love. But yeah, it just seems that like it's, you know, full moon tomorrow.
Yes.
Though every full moon I don't seem to see it unless it's early morning. And it's 5:40 here this morning. And yeah, it's they're crying out to be protected as well. Our universe needs to be protected as well, though they're not telling us what's the negative things they're doing up there against nature. And yeah, so I get really tired, though. I have my gifts around me. I got a Tibetan bowl. I do the ringing every now and again.
Wonderful.
And yeah, so my crystals, I've got many crystals. I'm a healer myself. I also am an energy healer, so I send out through a candle burning ceremony of for Mother Earth, nature and ocean and universe. So yeah, I'm quite busy, and I realize I don't really need that many people around me because I know I'm connected with the world people through you know, like through thought, through connecting like this. It's by chance I just come on it, thought, oh, I'll just have a look at my emails, and there it was. This was on. I thought, oh, I have no wonder I'm awake. So I have to connect with you girls because it's all about connection. The universe sends me to connect with people, and I've actually, a lot of people have downgraded the last 3 years of what's happening, though it's needed to happen because it didn't happen, we wouldn't be speaking.
Right.
And all the like-minded people are online, and it's outwhacked everything because all the good people are connecting online and doing workshops online and healings online. And so, and you know, so it's really cool to be able to connect. And I've, you know, yes,
Thank
it is
you,
a bit
Veronica.
sad, but it's good.
We'll keep a good thought for you, Veronica, there in Australia. And I see that Catherine has her hand raised.
Yeah.
Catherine.
Thank you. I think that's a very interesting question that's been asked. Do we feel lied to? I observe, hey, from one kai whakatara to another. Kai whakatara means a provocateur, someone who tests and pushes and, you know, tests the truth, seeks the truth. From one kai whakatara to another, what I have observed is there is a very high level of mistrust in institutions today. This has been tracked. If you could graph it, the level of mistrust in institutions is like peaking. It's very high around the world. There's some variability in different nations, but on the whole, it's a phenomenon that we should pay attention to, because you would want to ask, why is that? Now, wherever I see fear, because the fear mongering of governments and institutions is a part of it, it's not the whole answer to why. Wherever I see fear being pushed on the minds of the people, which I consider to be a species of menticide, quite frankly, you know, it's the cliche, false evidence appearing real. Whenever I feel or see fear in my environment, or even in my own mind, that comes to me. There's some false evidence in this scenario which appears to be real. And something in me is saying, burp, burp, burp. Now, something's out of kilter here, something's out of balance. I need to seek out my own truth about it. And that's what I do. The antidote is to seek out the truth for you. But a cautionary note, that can be a very isolating journey to be a truth seeker, because oftentimes the establishment narrative is burp. And when you go against the establishment narrative, you often get harassed, demonized, ridiculed. Like, it was once truth, the earth was flat. And the people who were early adopters of the next truth, that the earth was round, whoa, they got hammered. So, that's one example. You spoke of climate crisis. I've been working in that space. I also believe in a fractal universe. Let's remember there's a value and its opposite value exists in the same time space. That's fractal universe. So yes, the eons of time, the cycles of time, Papa Tuanuku, the earth mother, has been breathing in and out over long periods of time. This has been playing out. This is truth, my truth. So yes, you've had these temperature, variabilities over that time. At the same time, in a compressed time space of humanity's existence, we find that we've harmed the planet to the extent we've had impacts on the Earth's temperatures as well. So it's a yes and no kind of thing. We're in the 6th mass extinction of biodiversity. That is irrefutable. So whether we label it, sometimes labels get in the way, whether we label it climate crisis, whether we label it mass extinction, whatever humans got to clean up our act. That's what I reckon. And surely we can all get in on that kaupapa, on that idea. Humans, we need to clean up our act, and cleaning up and detoxifying in the heart and the mind. So yeah, thank you for that awesome question. Very provocative. I love it. We should explore these ideas more maybe in the future, in the near future, hopefully.
Catherine, there was another question on the chat. Question was, what is menticide? menticide?
So we'll be familiar with homicide, the killing of persons. You'll be familiar with genocide, the killing of whole populations. Ecocide, okay, the killing of environment and ecologies. Menticide is the killing of the mind. All is mental. So when you're feeling propagandized, you may very well be. When you feel you're being psyoped, you may be. When someone tells you something and you feel a vibration of, okay, maybe. But it's a truth you've got to find out for yourself. Menticide, yeah. And these killings, these murders, these violations, shall we say, we need to defend against them. Yeah, as well as affirmatively stand for something, because we can't always be resisting stuff. This whole talk today has been about resistance, and what you resist persists. So it's complicated. We have to figure that out. What our theory of change actually is. Yeah, something to consider.
All right, thank you. Are there any other questions or anyone else who would like to speak on this?
Mayor had a question. Mayor, if you would like to unmute. Maybe Mary's gone.
No, I'm here. I'm here. My Wi-Fi cut out, so I'm now with my sweetie here, and he's on his phone system hotspot. So, yeah, the intelligence of water. Masaru Emoto's work has been so significant for so many years. And then there's a woman in New Zealand who's doing brilliant work communicating and receiving messages from the intelligence of water. And it's really profound what she is coming up with, like images of photographs of water crystals that are responding to her questions about what are she has a special name for the photographs of her water crystals, but her work is taking Masaru Emoto's work to a whole new level. And so I'd love to know what you all are want to say to this profound awareness of the intelligence, the consciousness of water. Because when I take a shower now, I take a bath, I am always doing water ceremony in the waters. I'm calling on my spirit teams to bless the waters, but I also am becoming more aware of that water is intelligent and responding to me in ways that I can't discern.
I'll take a shot at this, and then I'm inviting the Polynesians to add. So when Queer came to Israel, the first time we found out we were a couple, he said he felt that the energies were very wounded, you know, the Middle East and Palestine, Israel, and everything. And coming from a very different culture, that was the first thing that really shocked him. And he was crying, like tears or water came to his eyes, and he was crying. And I said, no, but we can introduce the top ancient teachings, different dialogue. And he said, before we do anything. And I said, how? I don't know what it looks like. And he said, women need to work with the water. And so we did, but I was very skeptic and I didn't know what we were doing. I was just respecting him and kind of following what he was saying, but I didn't know. And then I had a small kindergarten in my house, and the children are masters at resolving conflicts. And usually what we do is if there was a conflict, we would go without judgment. We wouldn't be like, what did you do? What did you do? We would just create a safe space and they would figure it out and they would come up with the most amazing solutions. But that day, they just couldn't. And that pair was fighting, and then these three children were fighting, and it was just like something was in the air. And I said, okay, you know what? There is definitely an angry energy here that needs to come out. Let's not take it out on each other. Let's pick a yam. We had 2 yams that we were growing, and they had like beautiful heart-shaped leaves. And I said, let's pick a yam and shout at the yam and see what happens. Because you know this experiment you do with you're not angry at the other, and then the angry one turns green. So I've heard, I've never tried it, but then I saw someone kind of doing it with the yam, and the yam went rot. So I said, let's try it. And then they started fighting over which one of the yams we're going to be angry at. This one, no, why this one? We want this one. And so I was like, okay, let's take a new one. I cut it in half and we put it in the same kind of jar, the same waters. And they just created these notes with words and pictures of here was angry and I don't want to be here. I don't like life. I don't like you. You know, everything sucks. The other one was happy and rainbow.
Yeah, we're losing the connection with you, Yael.
Sabra, did you have a perspective while we're waiting for the
Take it. Is this okay now? Internet is crazy today. I'm sorry. Maybe someone else, other one just had beautiful roots, and that was
just the things that happen on the surface. Sometimes don't even notice, but it's happening, and the water is carrying the energy. And so if you're angry at water, and you know we are 70% water, just imagine if it did that to the yam, what would it do to a heart? And actually, I showed that to a yoga teacher that was coming to give yoga, and he said, but look at it, the one you were angry at, it didn't give up. What happens if you change the energy? And we changed the energy, we changed the note, and one girl was giving it a kiss, I remember, and it changed, and there were white, beautiful roots, not as abundant as the other ones, but very long. So I don't know, that's my little thing about water. And now I will let the Polynesians share what they have about the wisdom of water. Auntie Sabra, maybe you can talk about the Hokulea a little bit, if you know. I heard it was amazing here in Alaska.
All right, very good, very good, very good. Yes, well, we have this canoe, this fairly famous canoe. Hokulea is named for a star, and at this time I can't remember the English name for it. But Hokulea is on another worldwide voyage. It is going from Alaska all across the Pacific down to South America. Right now, I think it just left Alaska, is heading to Washington, someplace up there. But the first place they stopped was Byron Malott was the president of one of the corporations there. It may have been Sealaska Corporation. And some 30-something years ago, they donated 2 beautiful big trees to Hawaii, put them on a ship and sent them here. And we built a canoe, the Hawaii Loa. And to thank him and to thank his descendants, that was the first official stop of the Hokulea. Hokulea, the Star of Gladness, is now sailing down through Alaska. It will be going next to Washington State and then coming down the coast. It will be going, I believe, to Mexico, South America, and then across the ocean again. There is Polynesian Voyaging Society has a website that you can, there you go, thank you. Thank you, Julie, the archive for Hokulea. Thank you, Julie. And you can follow the sail. It is going to be a many years endeavor and will require many, many different volunteers to sail on the canoe. 35, 40 years ago, when I lived in Alaska at the time. Alaska is my second favorite state. I don't think we have any. Oh yeah, Yael, are you in Alaska today or in Israel?
Alaska.
Okay. At any rate, we are very grateful to the people there for the donation of those beautiful big trees. And we are connecting with Native tribes on the entire journey. I believe, I don't know how far south they're going to go. I don't know if they're going to Rapa Nui again or to Aotearoa, but they're definitely connecting to, we have not been to Taiwan or Korea or Japan I don't know that we've ever been there on Hokulea. But it is an amazing voyage. It is an amazing work, and it requires a tremendous amount of support. And, we are from a warm climate where we don't have to wear a lot of clothes, but you get up to Alaska and those places, and even down to Aotearoa, and we have to bundle up. It's much colder climates all around. But please follow that website, and if you have a chance to go out to see the canoe, please do, and send your good wishes. Thank you so much. I personally have never, I have been only on occasional, but not long voyage, just very short voyages. I think during the years when they were just starting up, I was raising a family and had other obligations. And it seems like I'm always having other obligations, other commitments, and have not been able to devote my time to really serving on the canoe or helping the canoe. I mean, it is a tremendous commitment of time and energy and resources. But I support those who are. I have some very good friends who work with me in the schools to teach our young people about what they can learn from the stars, the moon, the ocean, and how important all of these things are to us. Thank you, Yael.
Diana, Catherine?
I'm feeling complete. I'm feeling that what was said is a multitude. And I'm staying with the path of least resistance.
I have one little piece to add on the question of, water's intelligence. I've already talked about how in Māori traditions, it's a key concept in our idea of our own spirituality. Our spirits have the form of water in terms of its miraculousness, in terms of the spirit as a being which is able to move throughout different states, solid, liquid, and gas. There's probably a fourth one, plasma, but that's solid, at least solid, liquid, and gas. So that's how the spirit is like water. The duality of it, I've spoken about the physical world and the ethereal domain that we move between through our spirits. Water is miraculous because it carries data. This is essentially what those experiments show, right? It's a mechanism for holding and carrying data, and everything it comes into contact with, somehow we don't really understand it. It is impacted. The structure of the water is actually changed by everything it comes into contact with. So we should be very mindful of that, because the way water is piped through these hard angled metal pipes and such impacts the quality of the water that we drink and bathe ourselves in. The thoughts that we have when we shower and it flushes down, the drain into wherever, our feelings and emotions, everything goes into that universe of other people's water, everything. It's just amazing. I suspect, though, from what I observe, as a basic element of nature, other elements in nature have the same kind of ability in their own way to facilitate the movement of wisdom. Think of air. Straight away you go, well, yeah, air carries droplets of moisture, so water's in the air, so naturally air. But also in the way we use air, breathing in our meditations or to settle us, the wisdom of that is in the air, in the soil. Now think about mycelium, like mushrooms and all of the root systems, the universes of microorganisms in the soil. They're all communities. They're all exchanging information and data. It's amazing. I am grieving right now at how pesticides and toxic chemicals are killing our soil. I call it terracide. Killing our soil. You're killing the wisdom in the soil. And I would say the same about fire. Another basic element of nature, fire. Oh, the wisdom of fire. And think about why these elemental, substances of nature are used in ceremony. all of them. Yeah.
If I may respond, and I don't want to take up too much airtime here, but there actually is a professor at the University of Washington in Seattle that has actually documented a fourth phase of water. It's pretty amazing. It has a matrix to it, a gel-like. It's how it is that like Jesus Christ, lizards can run across the water and insects can crawl across the top of water. There's a fourth, and he's really done a lot of research on it. So thank you for your sharing, and thank you to T, because I'm a huge fan of working with the nature spirits and the conscious of the nature spirits in the water droplets, the sylphs, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll stop there, but honoring you guys. Thanks.
Can you put that the name of that professor in the chat box, please?
I can.
Wait, you're muted.
We're okay. I will do
end of our time. I am inviting, I know that there's a lot more to explore about water, and we've just basically offered a drop, I think, of everything there is. So I do invite maybe 2 minutes to put links or thoughts, and we will drink from the chat box silently and listen and take in what we need. And then Catherine, if you can start filling in the closing blessing, and in 2 minutes I'll ask you to give that to us.
Oh, our time is up already.
That's the best response from an elder. Thank you, Sabra. The little girl in you is just so amazing.
Hmm. All right, well, we are all very conscious of the elements around us, the wind, the rain, the water, the soil. And I know from this group how much you all care. And I thank you.
Thank you. Mahalo. Catherine, can you take us with a song, please? Or a blessing or a prayer.
Thank you. And what an amazing gathering. I think to myself, oh, we only do this once a month. We could do it more. So much to learn. But full moon is awesome. And happy full moon, everyone. I also say happy Māori New Year, because we're in the time of the Māori New Year right now. And which is heralded by the rising of Pleiades. We call it Matariki, the star constellation. And thinking of waters, you know, we have our thoughts about the Milky Way. We're in this big stream of universes. It's just amazing, beautiful. I've put in the chat there, I'm going to do a waiata, a song that's commonly known amongst Māori people, Wairua o te puna aroha, which loosely translates as the waters of the wellspring of compassion, love, understanding, and all that, those sorts of things associated with aroha. Okay, it's a metaphor. It's also literal, whichever way you wish to take it. So I'll sing it out for us. Wairua o te puna aroha, aroha, aroha. Wairua o te puna aroha, aroha, aroha. I tau, ki runga o te tangata, hei ora mo, ngā mea katoa, o te whenua, o te rangi, I wainga nui. Ia pupu, ake, ia pupu, ake, ia pupu, ake, ia pupu, ake. Tūturu whakamaua kia tina, haumi e hui e, tae ki e. And so it is. Kia ora, everyone.
Kia ora oto.
Kia ora, Catherine. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, for being with us in this circle. Every encounter is a co-creation, and this has been a beautiful one. And we will see you next month after we figure out the dates and the wise women that can be with us. It will be in our newsletters, ours and also Diana's, I think. And see you next time. Thank you.